Hey guys, this is Tomes coming at you with my very first Let's Play style video. I've been around a long time in the Roller Coaster Tycoon and Planet Coaster communities, but I decided to give this type of video a go. If you're ever a part of the Shyguy World forums or anything like that, you'll probably remember me from my Fisher Park series in Roller Coaster Tycoon. I finally recently got a laptop that could actually handle Planet Coaster, and I've been playing around for a while, kind of understanding how the game works. Now that I think I'm at a point where I'm actually good enough to kind of show off my work, decided to build another video, as it seems that's kind of where the community has gone with these sorts of things. So today we're going to start a new series, my first series, like I said. It's going to be a SeaWorld park. So this is going to be SeaWorld Hawaii. Hawaii itself is a huge tourist destination that doesn't really have any amusement parks. And I figured a park like SeaWorld would do really well there, just for the fact that a lot of people go to Hawaii to see the wildlife and the natural fauna and that sort of thing. A lot of people, they go and they want to see a sea turtle, and they want to see all these tropical fish, go snorkeling, and SeaWorld is a really good way to kind of see those sorts of things. If you're not able to do that, or you're not always lucky when you're trying to find a fish or see something like that. So this is a good way to get people to kind of see that sort of thing and really kind of appreciate Hawaii for what it is. So I know SeaWorld itself has been kind of a hot button topic over the past couple of years, especially with the Blackfish documentary. I've watched it myself. Personally, I think SeaWorld does a ton of good. I think they do a lot more good than bad. I think their conservation efforts are something to be admired. They've been through tons of management changes since they've captured an orca, 40 years ago. I think it's wrong to go for a company that's really doing everything they can to try to have a good name. But that's neither here nor there. That's not something I want to argue with in the comments. It's not something I really want to talk about. Just figured I'd get that out of the way now. This is the virtual park. You're not going to see, real whales. I'm not going to be bringing in real animals or anything like that. Maybe some fake dummy ones out of art shapes. But no one's getting hurt making this video. No one's getting hurt with this park. So that's that. So I've had this park actually in my head since the Roller Coaster Tycoon kind of days, but it was something you're never really able to fully communicate, just because of the lack of, just because how that game ran, how it was structured. My PC itself was so bad that any park I built was done in like 6 different park files and took 3 hours to load. So I figured that with Planet Coaster I'd have the actual opportunity to really do it myself, and hopefully with the Theme Maker's Toolkit coming out soon, I'll be able to actually delve in and make a lot more custom objects for this park. So the actual park itself is going to have a coral reef kind of themed entrance area, then sections dedicated to different kind of architecture styles and sea life that you'd find around the world. So my ideas, and if you have any more, feel free to drop it in the comments. Idea for Hawaii, Pacific Northwest, New England, the Arctic, the Mediterranean, and the Caribbean. I'm from New England myself, so that's kind of an area I'm really excited for. That's kind of where you'll see a lot of the shark exhibits, that sort of thing. The entrance area is going to be kind of modeled after SeaWorld San Diego's entrance, where you walk in and it's a giant coral reef, and you kind of walk underneath the giant stalks of coral. Just an aside, these turnstiles are actually made by Shyguy. I'll link the Steam page in the description. But going back to that, you have different styles for definitely Hawaii, as this is where the park's situated, so you have a huge things there. Pacific Northwest, as I said, for your killer whales, your orcas. New England will have your shark exhibits. The Arctic will obviously have your penguins. Mediterranean is where you'll find your Journey to Atlantis style ride. And then the Caribbean is just going to kind of be another area that I think it's just a fun architectural style that I really like, the bright colors and the clapboard roofs and that sort of thing. So I guess I should finally talk about what's going on in the video. You saw me build the entire entrance turnstile building, and so the idea is, as you walk through this kind of pre-entrance plaza where your ticketing is, your guest services, that sort of thing, it's supposed to give you the idea that you're moving from the beach and into the actual ocean, which is the park. So the entrance itself is meant to look kind of like an ocean wave. There's some bubbles and some fish thrown in there to add a little bit of color. The supports there are kind of meant to look almost like some coral stalks. There's a lot of rocks. The fences themselves, if you notice when I put them down, they're those green fences. So they're meant to look kind of like seaweed, a little bit of kelp. But so obviously before you get there, you have to walk kind of through the beach. So this building is going to be our ticketing building. And it's kind of styled after what you would see a lot for cabana buildings and that sort of thing. The wood is that very, very light, kind of driftwood almost like appearance. It's going to be kind of like a pergola looking thing. You can see I'm trying out different shapes here, trying to make it work. A lot of things with Planet Coaster is, if you play the game avidly, if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, you know that the scale in this game is kind of a nightmare. So there's our friendly archer there, who's shot probably about 300 arrows at this point. Kind of showing me exactly where the scale is, making sure I get things set to the right height, make sure I don't have to make things too tall. Just keep everything in scale. So each of these little windows is going to have two kind of ticket booths where you can get your tickets. Building this kind of like pergola style, something you'd see a lot around beaches and whatnot. See, I just dropped it down to make it a little better in scale. So the actual turnstile buildings, as you can tell, they carry that beach theme. I hope the beach theme kind of works a little well, at least for the little entrance area. I like the SeaWorld parks. I think they tell a good story when you're actually walking through the park, and they really convey exactly what they're going for. So that's just something I want to replicate my own version of it. The inspiration is going to come mostly from SeaWorld Orlando, just because that's kind of more of their big ticket park. Whereas you're going to see a lot of San Diego, not as much San Antonio. I've kind of looked at that on Street View a lot, and it doesn't look super well done, especially comparatively to the other parks. And San Diego's done a lot of work recently to make it really into a nice looking park. So trying to go with those two. The entrance area, as I said, is definitely themed off of San Diego and whatnot. So the beach is one of my favorite places. Just a little bit of background on myself. I grew up in a little New England beach town. So this type of stuff, this type of architecture, this style, something I've always really enjoyed. If you go around any house in the neighborhood where I grew up with, everyone's going to have these nautical details, and half our town is is fishermen or works in the industry. So I've always really enjoyed the ocean. It's one of my favorite things out there. So building a whole park kind of themed to it, inspired to it, really gives a little bit of an ode to kind of where I grew up, my experiences. So especially when you get to the New England area, I'll be talking a lot more about that, as half the buildings I'm sure will be inspired by my own hometown, where I grew up with. So moving on, this is going to be our little guest services building. So when I started, I was going to do just a very basic concrete building, kind of give the idea that this entrance was probably retooled and redone over the years, and the actual wave structures and the ticketing structures are new, whereas this might have been left around. But then as I was playing with the stucco pieces, I realized I can make a pretty cool looking sandcastle. So that's what I ended up going with. I did a little work off camera to actually spruce it up from what you see here, give a little more details. I put a little bit of some starfishes on there, use the icing pieces to really go ahead and actually sell the idea that it's a sandcastle and make it a little more detailed. Here I'm just kind of finishing off the building, so it gives you the idea that there's actually more than just the tiny little structures. Over here we're going to start one of our backstage areas. As you can see right here, building a little bit of an entrance to a backstage area. This is staff only area, just so they can bring things in and out of the park as they need to. We're starting to lay that out a little bit. As you can see, making a little parking area. This is going to be situated all behind buildings. Doing the same thing on the other side. Just making sure that it would be a park that could work in real life. I always really liked your super realistic parks. I know if you're watching this, you probably follow someone like Bro Coaster or Jubilee Gardens. One of those types of parks. That's the kind of style that I really like and I've always worked with. I like when things aren't perfect. I like when things don't always look great. I like when there's a little bit of, as people say, jank and stuff like that. As you notice over here, there's this little entrance pergola that I immediately deleted. I didn't like the color of it. I think thought it was too bulky, so I actually took the pieces from the ticketing booths and brought them over here, made a little entrance, made a little sign kind of in the idea of the turnstile building. One thing I didn't show is the actual SeaWorld sign. I didn't put that on video because when I went into it, I had literally no clue how to do it. It took me a long time to figure out, but eventually I found out that outlining it with triangles and filling it in with half circles ended up working pretty well. You just saw me lay out some more path. That entrance area is going to be where you have little aquariums and kind of oversized coral pieces, overhangs, that sort of thing. The little lights I just put on the entrance building I thought kind of looked like little jellyfish, so that's why I stuck them there. And they provide a really nice blue glow at night. Here we're building some lamps. It's pretty simple. I thought the shape of that bauble kind of looked like a scallop shell almost, so I thought that kind of fit with the sea theme, so we're going to place a couple little bulbs in there. Added 3 bulbs in there, so it actually kind of shows a little bit more light and actually lights up the area a little better. Then we're just going to throw some seaweed on at the bottom to kind of reinforce that ocean theme, that sea theme, and just kind of place that all around. So moving on, you can see we're just cutting some final lighting touches on the area. Throw down some tiki torches. I think they look cool. I think they portray the beach theme pretty well. They don't really do much in terms of lighting, but that's why we have all the lamps around. Those little lights up there. As you can see kind of over on the side, there was that nice blue glow to the main entrance building that you'll see in the cinematics at the end. Here we're just trying to light up the sandcastle a little bit, using some box lights, using some arm lights, trying to disguise those as best we can, but give it a nice view. And there's that sign. I think it turned out well. Maybe when the theme maker's toolkit comes out, I'll build something a little more robust. Here I'm just laying out some more path, kind of the area. That little path I just put in is going to be the actual entrance path, so you're going to exit through a gift shop, that sort of thing. I'm about to place some little trucks out back here that'll be able to bring things in and out of the park. Those are made by RubleTrillions. Again, those will be in the video description, so that you can actually go and find those yourselves and put them in your own park. They're really nice looking pieces, so you'd be remiss not to have them. Over here, I'm just going to put in a couple vending machines. I know a lot of times you kind of get to the park or early and stuff like that, and it's, you know, the park's not opening for another hour, and so it's nice to have a little something to drink or find something quick. So I'm just building a little shade structure for that. You'll notice I didn't immediately put it in place. I kind of like building on the world grid because it allows that you know, you can have your relative move and then your world move, and it's really easy to build when you're in world move. So it's nice to just kind of build structures like that and put it in place. Taking these fences again from the entrance building, I think they look kind of like seaweed, almost like little kelp stalks. And so we kind of put those there to sell the idea. Throwing some trash cans around. I try to replicate the ones that SeaWorld actually uses. Here in this little planter, we're actually going to build a little beach dune. As I mentioned, you know, I'm from New England, and one of my first jobs was actually building the fences that go on the dunes to keep the dunes in place, to keep people off the dunes, etc. So you'll actually see me place some of that pretty soon. Again, we're going with that light tan wash wood to sell the idea of a actual driftwood. You see I actually put the driftwood. You can see the color matches fairly well. But again, the whole entrance here is really just to sell the idea that it's a beach. Here's those little snow fences I was mentioning. They're actually called snow fences. I don't know why. Everyone else has ever called them beach fence. But we call them snow fence in New England. But that comes to the end of my video. So here's the cinematics. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you join me next time. Just remember to like and subscribe. Thanks.